Why is it that even when we know exactly what we need to do, we still don't do it? You've felt it. You set a goal. You made a plan. And yet, you're stuck waiting, hesitating, procrastinating. You keep telling yourself you'll start when you feel ready. But what if that feeling never comes? We live in a world addicted to emotion-driven action. We wait for motivation like it's some divine lightning bolt, craving a burst of energy to save us from our own stillness. But the Stoics knew better. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. So why are you waiting for the outside to move you, when the real power has always been within?" Here's the truth. Action doesn't come from inspiration. It comes from intention, from a calm, ruthless clarity that says, "This matters. I move forward, no matter how I feel." And today, we'll show you exactly how to build that kind of mind. A Stoic mind, trained not by moods, but by virtue. Stoicism is a training ground, not a theory. If you've ever thought Stoicism was just an ancient philosophy, some dusty theory locked in old books, you've misunderstood what the Stoics were actually teaching. Stoicism isn't about sounding wise. It's about training for war. Not the kind with swords, but the daily war we all fight with our minds, our emotions, our impulses, and our habits. Seneca once said, "When a man does not know to which port he is sailing, no wind is favorable." Think about that. Without direction, all your energy, your effort, your ambition, it just scatters. And most people today, they're drifting, chasing feelings instead of clarity, hoping they'll act when they feel like it. But the Stoics knew waiting for a good mood is a trap. Action doesn't start from emotion. It starts from deliberate training. And that's where this video comes in. This isn't motivational fluff. This is a mental gym, a place to strengthen your clarity, your self-command, and your direction. Each of the 7 Stoic lessons you'll learn today is a workout for your will. Not to make you feel better, but to make you act better. By the end of this video, you won't just understand Stoicism. You'll be applying it. You'll have tools tested by time to overcome hesitation, beat procrastination, and move with purpose. Let's begin. Real freedom isn't doing what you want. It's doing what you should. Especially when every part of you wants to avoid it. You see, in modern life, freedom is often mistaken for indulgence, for comfort, for doing what feels good in the moment. But the Stoics saw something deeper, something truer. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, one of the most powerful men to walk the earth, said this: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Let that sink in. Real power is not about controlling outcomes. It's about controlling yourself, your impulses, your thoughts, your reactions. This is the core of self-discipline, and the Stoics believed without it, no man is truly free. But let's be clear, discipline is not about punishing yourself. It's not about becoming rigid, or cold, or joyless. Disciplina is a form of self-respect. It's choosing structure so you don't collapse into chaos. It's training your behavior to align with your higher self, not your lower urge. Epictetus, who was born a slave but became a philosopher of kings, said, "We must practice virtue like athletes train for competition, daily, deliberately, with a focus on the long game, not the fleeting thrill." He believed freedom is not the absence of limitation, but the ability to govern your own internal empire. So, how do you build this kind of discipline? Start small. Each day, run what I call a temperance audit. It's simple, just one question at the end of the day. Where did emotion override intention? Maybe you snapped at someone. Maybe you skipped a task. Maybe you gave in to distraction or indulgence. Write it down, not to shame yourself, but to see yourself. Then ask, what could I have chosen instead? This one practice will change your life. Because awareness paired with repetition creates transformation. The Stoics didn't talk about discipline as a productivity hack. To them, it was sacred, a path to inner peace. Because when you are ruled by desire, by fear, by anger, you are not free. You are a slave in your own kingdom. But when you respond instead of react, when you hold your tongue, when you do the hard thing, not the easy thing, you become sovereign over your soul. That is freedom. That is power. That is who you were meant to become. It's not built in a day. It's forged over time, through repetition, through failure, through practice, through waking up, and choosing virtue over vice, silence over noise, purpose over pleasure. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you must build your life action by action, brick by brick, habit by habit. You are building something unshakable. So ask yourself, are you building towards your highest self or betraying it in small ways every day? Self-discipline is not a cage. It's the key. You know what procrastination really is. It's not laziness. It's not poor time management. It's betrayal. Betrayal of your own potential. Betrayal of the person you say you want to become. You wouldn't tolerate someone stealing from your wallet. So why do you let distractions steal from your life? Seneca said it powerfully. People are frugal in guarding their personal property. But as soon as it comes to wasting time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy. We protect our money, our homes, our passwords, but our time, we give it away carelessly to random notifications, to scrolling, to drama, to tomorrow. Every time you delay something that matters, you don't just lose time, you lose trust in yourself. Procrastination says, I know what's important, but I'll abandon it anyway. It's the habit of spiritual erosion, a slow decay of discipline, of focus, of self-respect. So how do we fight it? We take time seriously, not emotionally, structurally. Let me show you the time guarding system. It's simple, but powerful. Step 1. Lock the clock. Choose a window of time, just 45 or 60 minutes, where one priority rules all. Not 5 things. Not 2. 1. Step 2. Kill the noise. Notifications off. Social media logged out. Phone. In another room. Distraction doesn't fight fair, so you have to be ruthless. Step 3. Begin before you're ready. Stop waiting for a perfect mood. Begin in motion. Because motivation is not the start, it's the result. If you do this every day, just once a day, you begin rebuilding self-trust. You begin showing yourself, I do what I say I'll do, and that feeling. That's real confidence. Earned, not imagined. Marcus Aurelius said, you could be good today, but instead, you choose tomorrow. What a tragic line, and yet, how many of us live like that, waiting for some magical time where everything feels aligned. News flash, it won't, if it matters. Do it now, even if it's clumsy, even if it's imperfect, even if it's just 10 minutes. Because every moment you delay, you push your potential one step further into the grave. Remember this, procrastination doesn't steal your dream overnight. It takes it one tiny compromise at a time. And by the time you notice, it's already too far gone. You want to live differently? Start with this one choice. Guard your time. Like your life. Depends on it. Because, in a very real way, it does. Most people run when life gets hard. They flinch. They delay. They ask, why me, as if pain is a mistake, instead of a message. But the Stoics, they looked straight into the storm and said, this is where I train. Marcus Aurelius led Rome through plague, war, betrayal, and yet he wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. He didn't say that to sound wise. He lived it under constant pressure, and still he showed up. Still he acted with honor. Still he served the world. Because real power is revealed in pressure, not comfort. Think about it. When do you actually grow? When everything's smooth, or when life slams you down? And you have to choose. Stay broken or rise. Different. There's a hidden truth the Stoics knew. Adversity is the doorway to inner transformation. Not despite the pain, but because of it. Epictetus was born into slavery, physically limited, socially discarded, and yet he became a teacher to emperors, not by running from suffering, but by reframing it. He asked, what if every difficulty is secretly a test, a divine audition, to prove who you really are? You don't control the storm, but you can become the one who sails through it calm, capable, composed. So the next time you're hit with failure, rejection, chaos, don't collapse. Pause. Breathe. Ask, what virtue is this challenge trying to awaken in me? Patience, courage, clarity, forgiveness. That shift alone changes everything. Instead of saying, this is happening to me, you say, this is happening for me. That's not wishful thinking. It's mental aikido. It's turning the force against you into strength within you. Seneca said, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor strengthens the body. But modern life has made us mentally soft. We avoid discomfort. We expect ease. So the moment something burns, we retreat. But what if pain isn't the enemy? What if it's your personal trainer sharpening you, testing you, chiseling you. Stop asking for a lighter load. Train to carry more. Not recklessly, but consciously. Create your own practice of voluntary hardship. Take the cold shower. Say no when you usually say yes. Face the task you fear most first. This is how you condition the inner muscle. So when real chaos comes, you don't fall apart. You rise. You're not defined by the challenge. You're defined by how you meet it. And the ones who meet it with grace, with grit, with grounded awareness, they walk the Stoic path. Your problems are not blocks in the road. They are the road. And how you walk it is the story you become. There's a reason why pain is part of every transformation. Not just physical pain, but emotional, psychological, spiritual. Because pain doesn't just challenge you, it changes you. But only if you let it. Most people spend their lives running from pain. They numb it. They deny it. They distract themselves hoping the feeling will fade. But it never does. It just waits. Quietly. Until it finds another way to break through. The Stoics knew something we've forgotten. Pain is not the enemy. It's the teacher. Epictetus was born a slave. He walked through the fires of abuse, loss, physical limitation. But he didn't become bitter. He became unshakable. He didn't avoid his pain. He refined it until it became wisdom. He said suffering arises from trying to control what is beyond our control. And yet, he also believed that within our mind, our thoughts, our choices, we held absolute freedom. So ask yourself, what if your deepest struggle is not proof that you're broken, but proof that you're being rebuilt? There's a concept in neuroscience called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself in response to challenge. But here's the hidden layer. Neuroplasticity is activated most under stress, but only when combined with conscious reflection. If you suffer, but never pause to learn from it, your brain just reinforces fear. But if you face it, slow it down, ask deeper questions, your mind actually evolves. Suffering becomes instruction. Discomfort becomes design. Pain becomes power. That's why we invite you to try something new this week. Call it adversity journaling. Once a week, sit with your pain, your pressure, your tension, and write down 3 questions. What challenged me this week? What did I learn about myself through that challenge? What kind of person did that moment call me to become? It might feel uncomfortable at first. That's the point. Because réflexion crée distance. And that distance gives you leverage. Seneca said, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor strengthens the body. But look around. We've engineered modern life to avoid all difficulty. Air conditioning, same-day delivery, digital numbing 24/7. And then we wonder why we feel mentally soft, why we break under the weight of ordinary setbacks, why we keep collapsing into emotional spirals. The Stoics trained for this. They practiced voluntary hardship, so real hardship wouldn't destroy them. They'd fast, wear plain clothes, sleep on hard ground. Not because they were masochists, but because they wanted to build anti-fragility, to become stronger, not in spite of difficulty, but through it. So what can you do today? Start small. Take a cold shower. Walk without your phone. Say no when you feel the urge to please. Face the one task you've been avoiding. Sit in silence, instead of escaping into noise. Every act of discomfort is a deposit into your mental bank. And when life cashes in, you'll have the resilience to pay back in strength. And here's something no one talks about enough. Pain humbles the ego. It strips away illusion. It reminds you that you are not invincible, but you are adaptable. And in that humility, you open space for wisdom. You realize what really matters is not how the world hits you, but how you choose to show up after it does. Pain makes philosophers out of those who reflect, and prisoners out of those who refuse. So don't waste your wounds. Don't numb them. Don't hide from them. Use them. Honor them. Write them into the blueprint of who you're becoming. Because here's the ultimate truth. Your pain doesn't make you weak. It makes you real. The next time life shakes you, don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "How is this happening for me?" That's when pain transforms. That's when the flame that burned you becomes the fire that forges you. Turn toward it. Learn from it. Let it shape the strongest version of you. The Stoic. Sometimes the distance between who we are and who we want to become can feel overwhelming. So we freeze, we scroll, we wait for motivation. But Stoicism teaches something far simpler, far quieter, far more powerful. Progress isn't born in inspiration, it's born in motion. Zeno of Citium didn't set out to become a legendary philosopher. He didn't begin with a clear roadmap. He didn't climb a mountain. He walked into a bookstore, picked up a book on Socrates, and something shifted. That moment, small, ordinary, quiet, became the seed of a philosophy that would change the world. Not because he had a master plan, but because he took the first step. That's how every transformation begins, not with a bang, but with a whisper. We live in a world that glorifies speed, drama, and spectacle. We think big results require big beginnings. But Stoicism reminds us, the soul grows slow, the mind even slower. And that's not a flaw. That's the design. The Stoics didn't aim for overnight change. They practiced something called incremental virtue, the art of becoming better through small, steady, conscious effort. Here's the truth most people miss. The smallest step is infinitely more powerful than the perfect intention. And that's because of something called the momentum loop. Action creates energy. That energy fuels the next action. And the cycle continues. But the reverse is also true. Inaction feeds inertia. And the longer we delay, the heavier the step becomes. So how do we escape the loop of hesitation? We shrink the battlefield. The Stoic strategy is simple. Don't aim to conquer the whole mountain. Just move one stone. That's where the next best action comes in. Forget the master plan. Forget the overwhelm. Forget perfection. Ask only one question. What's the next smallest thing I can do? With intention. If you're building a habit, don't aim for 30 minutes. Start with 2. If you're writing a book, don't think about 300 pages. Just open the document. If you want to improve your focus, don't meditate for an hour. Take one deep breath. One breath. One line. One move. That's how Stoics live, not by emotion, but by deliberate action. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it." And how do we embody it? Not in theory, not in books, but in small, repeated choices. Every time you choose to act with integrity, even when no one sees it, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. Every time you say, "I'll start small, but I will start," you build identity capital. These micro acts become the architecture of yourself. So maybe the reason you feel stuck isn't because you're lazy. It's because you're trying to leap when all you need is to lean forward. The Stoics were architects of slow greatness. They knew that rushing was a trap. That progress wasn't about intensity, but consistency. So they created rhythms, rituals, anchors, actions that didn't rely on emotion, but were tied to character. And it worked. Want to change your life? Change your rhythm. Not your vision, just the rhythm. Start your mornings with a single breath of stillness. End your nights with a single moment of reflection. Replace pressure with presence. And take action, even if it's messy. Because the difference between stuck and moving is almost always just one step. Let me leave you with this image. Picture yourself standing in front of a locked gate. Behind that gate is your growth, your potential, your clarity. You don't need to break the gate. You don't need to understand every mechanism inside. You just need to take one step forward, reach, and turn the key. That key, it's always been action. Not perfect action, not passionate action, just intentional, honest, forward-moving action. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Don't waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. Instead, be occupied only with the task before you." So today, don't worry about 5 years from now. Don't obsess over the perfect plan. Ask instead, what's one thing I can do today that my future self will thank me for? And then do it. Not for applause, not for dopamine, not for validation. Do it because you made a commitment to yourself. The mountain will move, but first, you must take that first step, quietly, calmly, decisively. The world doesn't need your potential. It needs your movement. When the world tries to define you by your success, your income, your image, the Stoic asks you one question, but who are you when it all falls apart? That's where real purpose begins. Not in your goals, but in your values. Cato the Younger lived in a time of collapse. Rome was drunk on power. Truth was negotiable. Honor was inconvenient. But Cato, he cose virtue, over comfort, over success, over survival. He refused to bend even when it meant standing alone, even when it meant death. He did not act for approval. He acted because that was who he was. That is purpose. It doesn't waver when times change. It doesn't beg the world to understand. It just walks forward, calm, clear, unshaken. Modern psychology now echoes what the Stoics lived by: purpose-based identity, a life built on internal values. Not external goals is the strongest armor a human can wear. When your identity is built on outcome, you crumble with failure. When it's built on virtue, You endure storms with stillness. So here's the shift. Don't ask yourself, what do I want to achieve? Ask, what kind of person do I want to be in the fire? When the plan fails, when they criticize you, when no one claps, who will you be then? That's where virtue lives. It's time to write your virtue statement. Not a mission, not a vision board, but a line you live by, even when the world forgets you. Start simple. I choose to live by. Then fill in the values that make your spine straighten. The ones you'd rather lose friends than betray. Like I choose to live by courage, to face what I fear without shrinking. I choose to live by temperance, to master myself when emotions want control. I choose to live by justice, to do right, not just do well. I choose to live by wisdom, to think before I speak, to observe before I react. Let this one line become your filter, your mirror, your compass in the fog. Each night, ask, did I honor this today? That's how you measure your progress. Not in metrics, but in integrity. And here's the paradox. The world doesn't teach. When you stop chasing external meaning and live from internal principle, you become magnetic, grounded, untouchable. You become the kind of person who doesn't need motivation because you are moved by something deeper. Alignment. This is what Marcus Aurelius meant when he said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Purpose built on virtue is unbreakable. It's not shaken by failure, not bloated by praise. It stays. It returns. It holds you upright when nothing else will. And when you live like that, you don't just walk the Stoic path, you embody it. Every choice becomes a practice, every moment a test, every setback a chance to live the words you wrote in your virtue statement. Not for applause, not for trophies, but for peace and power and the silent pride of being true to yourself when it mattered most. Write it, live it, return to it. That's the Stoic code of purpose, and it never breaks. They called him Emperor, the most powerful man on earth. But if you looked past the marble halls and legions, you'd find Marcus Aurelius sitting alone, writing quietly in his journal. No crown, no throne, just one man, reminding himself of one truth. If it is not essential, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. If it is not useful, do not keep it. Marcus understood something we keep forgetting. Disorder doesn't come from the outside. It grows in the margins of an undisciplined mind. You don't need more apps. You don't need another plan, another podcast, another productivity system. You need less. Less clutter, less noise, less pretending to care about things that don't move your soul. Simplicity, in the Stoic sense, is not deprivation. It's a filtration system for the soul. Because when your life is filled with distractions, every decision becomes heavy. But when you strip it down to what matters, you act faster. You think clearer. You feel lighter. So here's a practice worth trying tonight. Write down 10 things that are dominating your mental space right now. Everything that tugs at your focus, your emotions, your energy. Then cut 7. What's left? That's your priority. That's your clarity. That's what deserves your full presence. And in this modern age, where your attention is under siege every second. You need boundaries sharper than ever. This is where digital stoicism becomes your shield. Turn your phone into a tool, not a trap. Silence what doesn't serve. Limit the inputs that hijack your willpower. You're not obligated to absorb the entire world. You're responsible for one thing: protecting the quality of your own attention. Because that's what determines your actions. And your actions shape your life. When Marcus chose simplicity, it wasn't because he had less. It was because he refused to be ruled by more. He was a king, but he ruled himself first. So maybe you don't need another breakthrough. Maybe you just need less to do more. Cut the noise. Focus the signal. Simplify to amplify. So here we are. Not at the end of a video, but at the beginning of a choice. You now carry 7 tools forged in fire, not for decoration, but for discipline, not to admire, but to apply. Each Stoic lesson we explored wasn't about getting hyped or chasing momentary inspiration. It was about preparing for real life, the messy life, the unpredictable life, the one where motivation fades, but character doesn't. Because the truth is, action doesn't come from feeling ready. It comes from living ready. It comes from building a framework so steady that even when the storm hits, your foundation doesn't crack. Discipline isn't sexy. Simplicity isn't loud. Courage doesn't always roar. But these are the inner muscles that move your life forward when the world goes quiet. The question now isn't, did this video inspire you? The question is, what are you going to do with it? Not later. Not when things slow down. Now, pick one lesson. Just one. The one that made you pause. The one that made you uncomfortable. That's the one your soul is pointing to. Now, write down your next action. Not a goal, not a fantasy, but the smallest, clearest action you can take before the day ends. One movement that aligns you with who you said you wanted to become. It could be turning off your phone for the next hour. It could be journaling your top distraction. It could be creating a daily ritual for tomorrow morning. Whatever it is, do it. Then commit to it. Say it out loud. Whisper it. Type it below. Make it real. And when you're done, drop a comment and tell us what lesson hit you hardest. Let your insight echo forward. You might be the spark someone else needs today. And if this video spoke to a part of you that's been silent for too long, then subscribe. Because this is just the beginning of a deeper path. Not the path of a philosopher in a robe, but of a fighter in the arena. Of someone who acts when it's easier to delay, who chooses discipline when distraction feels better, who simplifies, clarifies, and executes while the world overthinks. You don't need more content. You need more commitment. This is your moment. Don't just think, act.